She had named them. She had named the birds.
Yeah. Right? Dogs from next door, they all knew her, had never met her before, right? I mean, they all sort of, there was that communication. She could communicate with anybody. She met my then fiance, now my ex-wife, 30 years ago almost. Now, you know, Mommy understood English, she knew the language, but she didn't speak it too much. Not too well, but too much. And of course, you know, she's a conservative Indian lady with a sari and so on and so forth. And she met my wife, who at the time was, well, my fiance at the time was probably 20 years old, and was in New York, and, you know, went to FIT and all of that stuff. But within the first 20 minutes, they found a connection. 20 minutes, literally. And my mommy swore that she and her and my now ex-wife were friends in a previous life. So communication there, even with her, was just like that. And you know, again, all of you have met her, so you know just how easy she was to communicate with, and so on and so forth. And she was a woman who I, for the last 15, 20 years is when I rediscovered her. When my mother was ill with cancer, she looked after my mom in my mom's house for several months, doing whatever it took. She was the rock that my mom had. And, you know, gave her whatever she needed, whatever she wanted, you know, moral support, spiritual support. And so I've always told my friends, I said, the most wise person I know was Mom. And I also went and spent 3 days, 3 full days, with her last April. But I had a feeling I was not going to see her again. She was fine, or I was worried, you know. You don't come too often, you know, I don't go there too often, and so on and so forth. And it came true, but you know what? I take pleasure in having spent those 3 days with her in her own flat, her own apartment. And what I give her credit for today is the last, well, she lived life on her terms, and she left on her terms. How many of us will be able to say that? Literally on her terms. So she was living by herself in her flat, which she wanted, quite happy to do everything. For a little while, when she couldn't quite make everything work, she went and lived with Jai, that's Jyotsna's younger sister. But then when her body told her, hey, you know, 2 things. She demanded, whatever, that she go back to her place. And I give the family credit that they listened to her and let her go back and facilitated her going back to her own house. Because most of us as family members, we want to treat people by our standards. No, Mom, this is good for you, or Dad, no, don't do that, do it my way. No. And she was back home for, what, a day and a half? Yeah. But on her terms. And that's how I like to remember her.
Arun has he's a king.
You never lost for words, though.
All I can say is, Jyotsna's mom, she had a lot of sympathy for Diane. She knew I was Vasant's friend, so it's all that guilt by association. I probably was on the list to Saturn. No, in our astrology, Saturn's bad news. My association with her did the same thing. I was on that list, and she had, like I said, special sympathy for Diane. When she went to India, she said, my other daughter has come now, so we have what they do,
OT.
OT. They wish her well, and they wish her prosperity and so on, and they give the daughter some special gifts, coconuts and such. So she always did that for her. She took her in, and because of Diane, I got some extra credit.
Tell them about the things that I got made that said I had it misspelled, and I gave one to Baba.
Yeah, Diane, in her infinite wisdom, took tons of gifts one time at our big festival time. It's called Diwali. At Diwali time, you give people a lot of gifts and exchange gifts and so on. And, Diane had guesstimated about 100 people she wanted to give gifts to, but she ran short by about 6. So we had to go, and there was a guy at a store that sold all the stainless steel stuff, and Diane would walk by there, and he thought, my number one customer is coming by. So he spread all this stuff in front of her, and she was picking up 6 more gifts. And on all those gifts, she had inscribed in her own phonetic language, Happy Diwali from the Baptists. But she spelled Diwali, D-I-W-A-L-E. And in our language, in Diwali there are 4 days, and one of the middle days is when you worship the goddess of wealth. But D-I-W-A-L-E means bankrupt. So for some 6 families, happy bankruptcy. I think unfortunately, her mom was one of them. So anyway, she always wondered why her son-in-law, the refrigerator doesn't make ice. So in her memory, I brought 2 bags of ice. Because he's a technologist and so on, but the ice maker somehow doesn't cooperate.
That's not true.
Now who am I to argue? I need her here. So anyway, you think about her. Diane and I, we went to India last December, and on 28th of December, we went to see her, and we sat there for about hour and a half. Finally, she got tired. She said, I want to go lay down. So we left, and then we were coming back to Pune again, and we wanted to go see her. But by then, she had become fairly weak, and we were waiting for Veena. But Veena had gone out of town, and she came in about 2-3 days after we left. So like you say, one last time, we missed that one last time. But still, I think meeting her in December was a treat. Okay?